This is our next workshop projects. 2 sizes, 2 different price points. I want to show you how easy it is to construct these out of scrap wood and embellish them and make them so useful and so cute. Don't wear scarves when you're wearing power tools or loose fitting items. I totally didn't know I was doing this and forgot I had that on until I started editing this video. So dangerous. You're going to see some dangerous stuff happen. I want to tell you a few tips and tricks about power tools, and you can do this without power tools. You can use this with screws, a regular nail to put this box together, and drills aren't too unsafe, so I'd encourage you to learn how to use a drill. But we're going to show you a few tips and tricks how to cut these and how to assemble these, and it is not as hard as you think. All right, that was the intro. Let me just show you a little bit how we did this. Be careful cutting old things. It could have metal things holding the legs together or the wood together, and so you do want to be careful with that. We did have our glasses on, but I didn't realize a part was broken on my chop saw, and we chopped through it and it spewed the thing I was cutting across the room and hit the wall. It could have been so dangerous. Here we go. You're fixing to see it. So I just cut through there and no problem. But when I was cutting the spindle part of a thing off of my, it was scary, I'm not gonna lie. So you have to be careful. We're just sanding the edges a little bit. You could do it with a piece of sandpaper. Here it comes, watch. The thing that holds the sand from flying everywhere broke off and went into my blade, and this is what happens right here. See how that jerked out of my hand? That thing fell and went under the blade. So it's no joke messing with power tools. What happened?
What is that?
That could have hurt somebody. With fear and trembling, we carried on. Okay, we found a thinner wood for the bottom. You can just use a thicker wood like I'm building the sides with, but I'm using all scraps and I didn't want to be as heavy, so that's why I did that. I put glue on the sides because glue will make this so strong. And then we do use a cordless nail gun. Like I said, you could do screws into the side, fill it in with wood putty if you don't want your screws to show. Now, see how I put my fingers up like that? Because when I shot that thing, I didn't want it to go out sideways into my finger. I am being so careful doing these. All right, here she's gonna put it. My husband has made me a jig to hold these all corners together to when you do this. And I don't, he did that after I made this film. So I'll sometimes show you how that's gonna help me assemble these so much easier. So we're just literally putting the bottom on, and we are going to use a drill bit to pre-drill a hole, and then I'm using what they're called deck screws that are no drill screws, no pre-drill, but you still have to drill or you'll split your wood. Trust me, I know. So you'll see that coming up, but right now we're just getting this little box. Easy box. This is not master woodworking. This is funky, chunky, imperfect, cute boxes. Isn't she cute? She was all cozy from school today, had her little sweatsuit on, and I just threw her in the fire working with me. Okay, so we pre-drilled the hole in the leg and in the box, and then you switch out. It's nice if you can work with 2 drills, keep the drill bit in one and keep the Phillips head in the other, but we didn't have that, so I have a quick change. So I just changed for my drill bit, and then I put my screw in. See it coming through? All right, and then I have already pre-drilled my leg, so I get that kind of lined up, and then I just drill that screw into there, and it worked great. I could have put some glue on the bottom of that, and I forgot, just to make it a little bit stronger. So isn't that cute? You can do these more perfect. The ones my husband made are so perfect. Okay. But anyway, so now we're going to start painting. And I hauled off and was putting paint on and then forgot we needed to glue our molds on before we put that wet paint on. So it was kind of slip-slidey because we were trying to get this filmed. But this is so fun. These are pre-poured iron orchid molds that I used fast cast resin in. You can use a 24-hour dry, but this dries in 10 minutes and it's white, and I love them. So we're going to have a whole bunch of these made up for the workshop. Let everybody pick their colors, let everybody pick their mold style, and customize these boxes however you want them to. So see how that DIY paint gets chunky because it starts going back to the clay if it's old, and we pulled those off. I call them paint boogers, and they're the best ever to make chunky, big texture. So we just smushed them down, and then we're just stippling our paint in there to even build more texture. You can use a salt wash medium that I sell, and then we also have a paint frosting that thickens your paint, or leave the DIY paint out. overnight and it gets crusty and thick and just builds all that texture. I want that, because then when you layer another color over and sand it back, it shows some neat definition and dimension. Or if you're waxing over it or glazing over it, then those high spots catch it. It's so good. You'll see at the end. Right here's just a first stage. I end up adding a lot more molds because I just thought it needed some more. I don't like less is more. I like more is better. So I started adding some more. This is my favorite glue. It is tight bond, and it dries super quick. Like, you can put it on vertical pieces, hold it there for like 3 seconds, and it'll stay instead of having to painter's tape it on until it dries. I do use a hot glue gun a lot with the resin pours because they're not always flat on the back, and then it doesn't glue down as good. Okay, now we're having some fun. So this is already dried for 24 hours. So I'm taking some weathered wood. The base of this color is sandy blonde in the DIY paint. All these products I use will be in the description box if you would like to purchase them. I ship out really fast. So we're just stippling some weathered wood on the corners and just spraying it as we go. We are working with cans of paint that is just chunky, funky in the bottom, but I do not waste a drop of this stuff. I love it. So we just wet it. You can even chunk it out of there, put it in an emulsion blender, and make it go back to powder, and then put water in it. It'll just be like paint again. So don't waste any of your DIY paint. You can spray water in the last of your can and make a glaze. It'll go miles and miles after you think it's gone, because it is just pretty much pure pigment. Okay, see, I am just getting in there and stirring it, and then I'm going to chunk some of these colors up. Right here I'm using letterpress, I believe. It's a light gray. We have so many colors. I'll have them all in the description box, but one of our grays, and I just made a watery colored glaze, and I'm just literally wanted the drippy, chunky, really old look. So that's what we're doing here. You can work with a wet rag, you can work with some baby wipes and wipe this stuff back. DIY paint wet distress is so good. And then you don't have the sanding stuff. Or you can just take a sanding block or whatever you've got and just kind of lightly sand. It doesn't take a lot because this is just, it sands really easy if you want it to. So we're just blending, watering, I just want it to look as chunky and old and layered as I can. These can be put on a countertop. So when you're setting at a countertop or setting on your couch or on the floor and you look up, I painted the bottom of the box. So think about that. Start with any project you can upside down when you begin painting it, and it's easier to paint the spindles and get all of it, and it's easier to get the bottom, and then just flip it over and you can paint it. So there's numerous ways people are going to be able to use this in their spaces. You could roll up hand towels and some soap and put it on your bathroom counter. You can put cookbooks in it. You can put candlestick with some flameless candles in it. You can put some greenery. You can put picture frames. You can put a stack of pictures that are just loose and people want to go through. I'm telling you, you could put your rolling pins in there. You could put your cutting boards in there. If you got any ideas how you would use this box, please put it in the comments. I would love to hear how you would do it. Right here, I'm using the new Walking on Water. And no, this is the Pool Party pigment, which I believe are pretty much the same color. So the pigment, you just take a wet artist brush, the best way I found to use it, and then you just dip it on there and spray it. You don't have to do the drippy look if you don't want. You can take your finger and kind of smush it in and blend it. You've got to start using these pigment powders. They're like $11 or $12, and I don't know if I've ever used a total one yet, and I've been a retailer for a long time. Okay, here we are going to link link to where we burned some decoupage paper before for a project we did. It's a pretty fun video. So we've just got this old sawn book, and we are literally just making some creases, rough cutting it, and we're going to burn the edges. That little lady is so excited to be here at the workshop today. She hasn't made it to her location yet, so she's just watching. I love her. I got her for like 30 bucks. I wish I'd have got her sister, but I didn't want to pay 60 bucks at the time. So you gotta be careful doing this. I'm not lying. We do some dangerous stuff. Some paper burns faster than others, especially tissue paper. So you gotta be ready. We do have fire extinguisher. And so we're just burning the edges. It's the thing my friend taught me like back in the 80s, and I just love it. I don't even know if she remembers she taught me this, but it's so fun. It just adds some dimension, and that black soot kind of smudges when you paint it and glaze it and stuff. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be using the liquid patina to decoupage. It works really good. You can seal your DIY paint with the liquid patina is a little bit thicker, or you can just decoupage with it. So you put it underneath your paper on the project. You'll see us doing that, and then you put it over the top, and it's good if you're doing it on a countertop or in table, something high surface. I'd put a couple of coats of liquid patina, letting them dry real good in between. Or you could use our big top, which is a little bit thinner, and it's a little bit of a semi-sheen, and the patina is a little bit more of a matte finish, just like the wax is a buttery finish. So you can wax over the top of the patina if you wanted to do that as well. Okay, so we chose to not paint this box. We like the natural wood, but the workshop people might want to do that. And I decoupage with gift wrapping paper a lot. The leopard is my favorite. So that's all we're doing on this one, and we did the same idea. You just need you could do all 4 pieces of your boxwood the same size to make more of a square, but we liked the longer look. So you just have to have 2 ends the same length and 2 front and backs the same length, or all 4 pieces the same to make a perfect square. And just some old spindles off the chairs, old candlesticks, old legs. So whatever, I have saved them for about 5 years, and I want points that I have finally used. Some spindles that I have been carrying around and moving around, and people are like, why are you keeping this? I'm doing it. I want the points. I'm always like, give me the points. I'm using it finally. So this is such a cute little project. I can't wait to see what all the workshop people do, because everybody does something different, and I love it. So after the paint was like I wanted it, I put a clear coat over everything, because anytime you use colored waxes like I'm doing on the corners here, I'm using black wax and white right here. I always put the clear coat on first, because our paint is really porous and it'll suck it up too much and won't blend out as good. And if you get too much color on there, you can remove it with like this baby wipe, or add some clear and wipe it back with a rag and be able to remove some of that if you put too heavy on there. So I am working with a baby wipe and just kind of blending it out a little bit. I couldn't get enough colors and stuff on here. I just loved it. We loved making this project and showing it to you and giving you some tips and tricks and inspiration. Please message me for any more detailed questions, and like and subscribe. We release a video every Friday, and we're so happy you're here. If you made it to the end, you need a prize.